Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Regenerative Business Podcast. I have a special guest today, Emily Rose. You want to say hi, Emily?
Hello. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, so we're doing I haven't talked to YouTube on the podcast in like literally years. It's something that I do with clients and like with my husband's business. He does a lot of stuff with YouTube, but it's not my primary way. So it's really exciting to bring on Emily, and we'll get into her story in a little bit, who she has grown a spiritual business that has nothing to do with teaching people how to have a business. So super spiritual out there business off of YouTube, and that supports her. And one of the cool things that I know that attracts you guys with YouTube is the SEO side. And as you'll hear from Emily's story, it has allowed her to juggle a lot of things at once without having to be on social media a bunch. So welcome, Emily. Do you want to give a little intro? I don't even know how to say the cards you use
Oh,
correctly.
sure. Well, I don't speak French, so I don't say it properly either, but I read Lenormand cards, which if you're familiar with tarot, I kind of describe tarot as a guidance counselor kind of card. It can give you the real talk, but it's going to give you the therapist counselor vibes to it.
Uh-huh.
And I call Lenormand like a sassy best friend. They're like who you smoke cigarettes with under the bleachers, and she's like, dump your boyfriend.
Oh my gosh, wait, I have not heard you say this. I'm so curious now.
Yeah, so they're very direct and to the point, and you literally read them like a sentence. And
Mm.
it originated in France and Germany. It's a whole thing I won't get into, but it's basically this deck of 36 little cards, and I call it the Lenormand bug. Like people get bit by it and they become obsessed with it. It just like picks its people with who it wants to work with. And so it picked me when I was 12 years old, and I started reading when I was 12, and I just kept it up over the years. And it's growing in popularity, but it's not the most popular card system on the planet. But once you're into this card system, you're obsessed with it. So that's a little bit about what I do. And that's the primary thing I do is I do readings, and I also teach Lenormand with my membership.
That's so cool. And so just for clarity, it doesn't use the normal tarot system, or it's like a weird shoot off, or just completely different.
It's completely different. So it's you basically think of each card as having an essence to it or a keyword or an energy. And the way if you read tarot, tarot is symbolic, meaning like you can pull, I have decks all around me. So I could pull the sun card. I could talk for 100 years about the snake in the corner of the lover's card. I could talk about the angel. I could talk about this in the background, the mountain there. I could talk about that forever. Where Lenormand is not necessarily symbolic, but instead you focus on the essence of the card. And when you are reading it, it has a very limited range of meanings. So it's very lexical in nature. So
Wow.
when you're reading it, like the snake in Lenormand is just deception, it's just bad news, or
Uh-huh.
it can mean pipes in your home, like snaky things like
Uh-huh.
that. You don't have as much to read into. It's very direct. And a lot of it is based on the question that you asked. That's really going to determine the meanings of the cards. So it's a little bit different from tarot in that way. It's very lexical in nature.
Wait, do you have a favorite deck?
Yes, I do. So I'm biased because this is my
Oh, and
mentor's
and
deck.
by the way, you guys, I am have Emily on the podcast. If you want to see the video version where she's like showing decks right now, go to Emily Rose Divination on YouTube, and you'll see the video version of this. And you can see her showing the decks.
Yes, you could see the visual, but my favorite deck is the Rana George Lenormand. She's my mentor. She's who really took me under her wing when I was just like a baby diviner. And so the back of it is just beautiful. She's Lebanese, so it's a lot of Lebanese images in the cards. I'll show you the stork card, for example, and it's shiny and flashing.
Yeah, we like shiny.
Yes, shiny. So, yeah, that's a little bit about Lenormand, and
Okay,
obviously I could talk about
because I
it forever.
immediately want a deck now that you're like, oh, it's like your best friend under the bleachers. I'm like, I want this. This is why not why we're here though. So we're here to talk about YouTube and you building your business on YouTube. And I want you to share your special situation you're in because you are a very, very busy lady.
Yes, I guess to start off with, I started with Instagram as my
Yeah.
primary modality, and a lot of in-person word of mouth was really how
Mm,
my business got started.
yeah.
And I just got really busy over the years. I first of all have a chronic illness. I have Crohn's disease. I've had 3 or 4 surgeries now, and lost count. I've had multiple surgeries for it. I'm just constantly ill, in remission, ill, in remission.
Yeah.
And I also have a daughter, and I'm in full-time graduate school. And what I found was I was growing a little bit on Instagram. I think I've got like 2,000 followers on Instagram. I'm not like I didn't grow it that much. But I felt like I kept putting energy in and I was like, oh, I need to do this a lot to
Yeah.
see results
Yeah.
from Instagram, is what I quickly found out. And I was also at the point with Instagram where Reels were just starting
Yeah.
on there, and I don't really consume Reels. It's not my medium. And so I was like, okay, this is not necessarily working for me.
Yeah.
But what was working for me in my business was I had a blog, like a regular blog, and that I had just started each Lenormand card meeting. And I have a page for each Lenormand card meeting. And Google picked that up. And that was the main way that people were finding me, was just through Google.
So it's like such a long tail keyword type thing where
Mhm.
whoever is searching for, there's not that much information on Lenormand, so it's so easy to rank number one, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, there are some app companies and like things that have picked it up, so it's getting harder to do that. But I'm like usually on the first page
Yeah.
of Google for most things. So I thought, okay, I'm kind of long-winded, as you could probably tell.
Me too.
I'm like, maybe I should do a podcast, but that's not really, I'm showing cards already while I'm here. Clearly, video is better. So I decided to start a YouTube channel and do what worked for me before, which was on my blog. I just had each card meeting. I'm like, well, I'll do a Lightning Lenormand series where I will just talk about Lenormand really quickly, do 3 to 5 minute videos on each card, and have that be what I do. And by the time I get to 36, I'll know if I want to keep going in on YouTube or not. So that's how I started. And I had a really great word of mouth business before, but I felt like I was adding like maybe one new email subscriber. I would say like 1 to 5 a week,
Mhm.
something like that. And I was like, I really want to up this.
Yeah.
Like, how can I do that? And so I decided to try YouTube.
Hmm. And what happened at the end of 36 videos?
I had like over 1,000 subscribers by the end of
Wow.
36.
Uh-huh. And
And
you're doing one a week.
yeah, I just did one a week pretty much. And I wasn't even that consistent with it, to be honest. I just put them out whenever I could. Sometimes I'd do 2 a week, sometimes I'd wait a month and then not do any.
Uh-huh.
And what I found was that YouTube didn't bury my stuff. Like
Mhm.
it would be, people would be typing into the search bar, Lenormand meanings, and my stuff would come up. And that was pretty cool to see that I could put something out there and it would retain its value
Mhm.
as a
Yeah.
piece of content. And I have a Lenormand mini course that I promote throughout each of them. And it's like a free 3-day course that people can take to just learn the basics of Lenormand. And instantly I was getting I think after I did 10, that's really when I started seeing people subscribing more. And now I've got 50 people a week probably
Wow.
subscribing to my opt-in.
Uh-huh.
And that's all organic from YouTube.
Yeah. And you're saying it in every single video, or it's every so often you're saying it?
I was saying in every video, I would say it at the beginning and the end of every video, like, hey, I have a free Lenormand mini course. Here's where you can find it. And that's it.
Mhm.
That's pretty much all I would say.
Uh-huh. And what do you still do weekly? It's still a part of your weekly flow to post on YouTube, or you're just no, you're shaking your head.
I just do it whenever I want. Like, pretty much I try to make higher quality videos is
Yeah.
what I've been trying to do. But when I say high quality, I don't mean high production. I don't have fancy cameras. I literally have my laptop and my phone and this microphone. Got it from my previous job. I don't have fancy equipment, but I just try to make sure that my content is really good.
Hmm.
And that's what I try to focus on, is if I have something to say that's important, that, and also with my classes, things that students would get hung up on. A
Hmm.
lot of times I would just create a YouTube video about it.
Hmm. And so you don't even think about putting them out. You're just like, when something comes to mind, is it like once a month? Is it usually once a month?
Yeah, I would say once a month is what I'm doing with YouTube right now. There's definitely times I was actually just filmed one today. I got sent a new deck from a publisher and I'm like, oh, cool, let's do a video on that. So I just do it in that way. If I'm going into a launch or something, I might film a few more than
Yeah.
I typically do, but usually it's about once a month right now.
Okay. I love this. Okay. I'm just gonna ask you super granular questions.
Yes, please do. Yeah.
So after you got through your 36, how did you start deciding on topics that you're gonna put out there? And did you completely drop it off Instagram at that point?
Pretty much. I still had Instagram, but I just wasn't posting
Yeah.
very much, if at all. And I just decided to base it off of comments that people were leaving on videos. So people would say, I still don't get what's the difference between Lenormand and tarot. So I said, okay, I'll do a video on that. So I did, and that got a few thousand views. I think it's probably, I don't know what it's at now. It might be at like 5,000 or something. And then I was getting a lot of questions of like I still don't get like how Lenormand combinations work. That's the main way you read them. So I was thinking, okay, I'll do a video on that. And it took a while, but I eventually have one video that has, I don't know what it's at now, 10 to 12,000 views
Mhm.
now. And then I did one on starting because I got a lot of questions like, how did you quit your job
Mhm.
this full time? So I did a three first steps video
Mhm.
on starting your card reading business. And that might be my most popular video now. And so I thought, oh, there's something to this. So I also use YouTube as testing things out and seeing what
Yeah.
people think about it and what are people interested in. Yeah.
So how many years in has it been that you've been all in on YouTube? What is it? What subscribers account are you at? What?
I'm close to 3,000,
Oh,
so I'm not the most viral YouTuber on the
mhm.
planet, but it's still doing what I want it to do for my business,
Totally. Yeah.
which is I'm like really looking at email subscribers. And so it took me probably about 2 years. I think I'm about two, maybe I'm getting closer to three now. About 2 to 3 years is where that took me. But I started seeing results after about 6 months. It
Wow.
took really about 6 months of posting
Uh,
consistently. And I do have the precursor that I did already have an email list.
yeah.
And most of my email list were clients I had met in person, doing readings at bookstores and things like that, and teaching classes.
And what was your email list at then?
Maybe like 1,000,
Yeah.
1,200, something
Uh-huh.
like that.
Yeah. So there was something there, but not, it wasn't like this, oh wow, it totally built off the email list. And okay, this is so good. So I'm hearing that you like aren't even doing YouTube strategy and it's just working.
I'm I'm not the most strategic. The thing I am strategic about is like how people type things into the search bar. Like that's what
Mm,
I paid attention to because I with YouTube, the thing I learned is that there's really like search content, which is where people are typing things into the search bar and looking
yeah.
for it, and then there's browse content, which is where YouTube's just suggesting things based on what that person's into. And I quickly learned I'm a search girl.
Mhm.
People are going to be searching for Lenormand. They're coming here to learn Lenormand or to learn
Yeah.
something about it. So I make about 90% of my content around the search idea.
So if you're trying to be like, who's someone who does like who's a browse person?
Like, what's his name, Mr. Beast or
Yeah.
whatever, like people that like have the outrageous videos that are like, you've
Yeah.
got to see
Yeah.
this, or like, this is my $10,000 Amazon haul or whatever. Like those types of videos are like, whoa,
Shock
really?
and
I got,
awe,
yeah,
curiosity.
shock.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like having people that are coming to me because they really want to and
Yeah.
they're being intentional. And so I decided to go with search.
Yeah. Okay. And then do you just literally start typing stuff in the YouTube search bar and that's your decision maker?
I actually did it in Google, is
Okay.
how I did it. And then it would suggest things.
Uh-huh.
And then I would say, okay, maybe I'll phrase it this way. And then I also use ChatGPT a lot too. I'll just punch it into ChatGPT, like, give me 10 titles for this video, or what are people searching with this? And it's not always exact, but I'm like, yeah, that's how I think one of my students would type it in.
Yeah.
And I just go with that. So I'm very vibes
Yeah.
person with it,
No,
but
I love
also
it.
like seeking it out, like
Mhm.
seeing what's suggested on Google.
So for those listening, that would be just go opening up Google and you're probably typing in Lenormand was the word you're typing and seeing what filled in.
Yeah, pretty much like whatever the video topic was on. When I started, that's how I did it. Now I'm a little bit more strategic and I think I know the title and the thumbnail are really important with
Mm,
YouTube. So now I'm thinking about title and thumbnail before I even create a video.
yeah.
So now I flipped it because I learned how important those things are.
Yeah.
And so now when I'm creating a video, I'm like, okay, what would somebody punch in to the search bar? How can I make this the most appealing for them? And then I make sure that the video is delivering whatever the title is
Yeah.
and that it's going to be helpful.
So can you tell us a little bit about best practices around titles and thumbnails?
Yeah, so they're definitely an art, I would say. I would say it's less of a science and more of an art. I would say that there are like different, and you can just go, it's hard to give generic things because it's really going to depend on your niche and who
Mhm.
you're trying to talk to.
Mhm.
But one thing I learned for me personally is that beginner, when I phrase it in beginner language, that it's way more likely that that video is going to do well, is what I have found personally. So I tend to frame it for beginners or I put beginner friendly like next to it. And just the word beginner is really with. I'll have to send you the tool afterwards. I can't think of it at this moment, but there's like a website that is free that says check my title or something. I forget what it is. It's for YouTube. And I punch it in there and it'll show you, hey, this is what's going to be actually displayed on the screen.
Uh-huh.
And so
So,
you
like
can
where it cuts
see,
off.
yeah, where it
Uh-huh.
cuts off so you can really get a sense of, oh, okay, this is what it looks like. And so I try to make sure that the good part of the title's at the beginning
Yeah.
and that it's not too long. For a thumbnail, honestly, this one has confused me the most because the thumbnails I'm like the most stoked about, people are like, whatever. And then the ones that I'm just like, I just threw this together myself. I didn't even have my graphic designer do it. I just threw it together. Then they're like, yeah, this thumbnail's great.
Don't you hate it when like dumb stuff you're doing last minute are like the things that do the best? It really bugs
Yeah,
me.
yeah. I think it's for me, I think it's more about title for my audience, which I
Yeah.
can't say for everybody's audience, but I think for my audience, it's more about title because I'm search.
Yeah.
But when I try to do funny thumbnails, they don't go so well. That's what I've seen. So I'm like, okay, maybe not. I'll be funny in the video, just not on the thumbnail.
Like just 101 stuff, is it you're in general, are you using a picture of yourself in the thumbnail? Do you have text on the screen in the thumbnail?
I found that the ones that have a picture of me in the thumbnail is helpful because most people on YouTube are like, I've seen that girl. Let me go watch her stuff. So I having a picture of me I found is helpful. And then also having like basic words of what it is. Like some honestly, like just repeating what the title is, which is something that I took in a YouTube class that said, don't do this.
Mhm.
It works for me.
Love.
Yeah, that's what I found to be most effective. If you look at my most popular ones, the thumbnails are not that great and nobody cares. So I think it's really about the title for me, at least.
And I think everyone listening, I'm assuming that 99% of people listening don't want to be the browse people that are just shock and awing. Like they're not these performers.
Right.
They're in their craft and they just want YouTube to work for them in the laziest way possible, which sounds good, right?
Totally. And I do think there's some good ways to use browse. If you have just like an interesting aside kind of video, like I'll say, oh, let's go through, I have a 4 deck haul. And that might be a browse feature one if
Uh-huh.
I'm showing a deck that like maybe that person is like, that's a pretty deck. I think there's ways to use browse that are cool, but that's just when I'm just like, I'm just trying this out and see what
Yeah.
happens kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fun. Okay, so when we went through how you're deciding on topics and this trajectory, you're ultimately getting people onto your email list and you're selling them there. You're not using YouTube for sales. Am I hearing that right?
I recently started doing that, but I think after this last launch I did, I'm like, okay, I think YouTube tends to promote my stuff like 3 months after I make it or longer.
Oh, interesting.
I think of it as every time I make a video, I'm planting a little seed
Oh,
and
uh-huh.
and then it's just some of them grow and some of them don't. And so I think that it's better, in my opinion, to link to something that you always have going on. So if you're like, oh, I like for me, my mini course is my most popular opt-in, my most popular lead magnet, and I've had it for years and years. So I just always say, take my free mini course. And then what's cool is people in the comments will be like, I took your mini course, it's so great. They'll say nice things about it. And then people get curious, oh, what's that? So I like promoting the same thing. And also by the time they've heard it for the 10th time, they're like, all right, fine, I'm going to take that mini course.
I love it. That's so
Yeah.
good. And so the main function for you is having new people find you who are already interested in Lenormand. So they have this interest in this niche topic. They're searching for it, they find you, and that's the main purpose. And then the next purpose is taking them to the next level with you, having them subscribe and having them get on your email list. Yeah.
Totally, totally.
Mhm. Do you find that specific video flows of like how you start, fill, and end a video is important?
Yes, definitely. So I found if you watch YouTubers, you're like, why do they always do that annoying intro? They'll do it a 30-second grab. Usually the first 30 seconds are the most important part of your YouTube video.
Yeah.
So you really want to make those 30 seconds really attention grabbing, and you want to make it so it's okay. If you're an editing pro, which I am not, I use iMovie to edit everything. But if you're an editing pro, you want to do like a lot of jump clips and
Yeah.
B-roll and have stuff on there. I don't do that. I just am like saying, this is why you should watch this,
Yeah.
basically. It's like your pitch of like why you should watch till the end of the video. And that's a huge determination on whether YouTube's going to recommend it. And that's like probably the number one thing that I'm watching is like how many people are watching past the 30-second mark of a
Mm,
video. And that's how I tweak my formula for how I introduce videos. Another thing is that a lot of people don't watch more than half of YouTube videos. So if you want people to do something, you've got to tell them right away. You can't just tell people at the end. You can, you're just going to have way lower conversions to whatever you're trying to do. So, for example, I think my best performing video or one of them is a how to get started reading Lenormand
mhm.
video. And I just got a comment the other day, like someone in the comments was like, this actually starts at 4 minutes in. And you get that all the time with whatever platform you're on. You get stuff
Yeah.
like that. But I'm like, yeah, that's intentional. It's very intentional. And what I do for that video, it's like how to get started. And it actually took me a while to do because I have a mini course. I'm like, I don't even know how to talk about this without repeating the mini course.
Yeah.
But I did. I found like my favorite exercise for beginners and I take people through that. And in the first few minutes, what I'm talking about there is, hey, I have this mini course that will actually help you have tools that you need for this video or that can enhance this video for you. Like, for example, I have a cheat sheet. So
Mhm.
it's if you want all the card meanings in one spot, sign up for the mini course, you'll instantly get a workbook that has that. And people are like, yeah, obviously I want that. Can I have the cheat sheet? And then after I explain, okay, that's how that works. And then this is what we're going to do. Here's what you need. Then we get into the video. And I think that is important is that what you're doing actually helps people and provides value. Like that's important. Weird, I know. But also I give people the option to jump around in my video
Mm.
too. I'll give timestamps a lot of times and just be like, hey, if you just want to jump here, go ahead. Like
And you say that in the video?
depends on the video. If I really think they should watch the beginning or they won't get the rest of it, I'll say you need to watch this first part. But I'll say, hey, if you're already advanced, I know I'm going to lose them anyway at the very beginning. I'm like, jump to this for the advanced tip.
And are you using the chapters in YouTube? Go to because you don't know the timestamps when you're recording, right?
No, I just have, so usually what I do is I have my virtual assistant slash graphic designer extraordinaire. She goes in and does a description and does the timestamps for me at the
Okay, so
end.
you're putting that in the description. You're not saying it in the video. Got it. Okay.
Sometimes I will say, I won't say jump to this part, but I'll be like, hey, look in the description for the timestamps.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I like that. And then do you have a length of video that you found really works? Or does it matter?
If you're wanting, this is like where the whole monetizing thing comes in. So
Yeah.
a lot of the money that you make is based on watch time, how
Mm.
many watch time hours you have. So that's why you'll see all those YouTube videos is 8 hours of ambient, like whatever, because that's how, because
Oh.
they're making all that money, right, from the ads that are placed and whatever. Um, Longer videos tend to do generate more income for you. I didn't know that when I started. Because I was doing fast, short videos. And then I learned that and I was like, okay, but I find that my natural rhythm with videos tends to be 15 to 25 minutes, tends to be most of my videos are within that range. I occasionally I'll have longer ones, but I just find that tends to work and I find people tend to watch through most of it when that's the case.
So with the monetization, are you considering that an actual revenue stream in your business, or is this just like cherry on top?
It's cherry on top for me for
Yeah.
sure. I just got my like second YouTube check actually. And I was like slow about the monetization because I saw how much I was going to be paid and I was like, eh. And I
$20.
yeah, I think they make you make 150 before they'll send you a check, something like that. And
Mhm.
so my first check I think was like for 250 because I was like delayed on getting all my stuff to Google
Mhm.
for it. And then I just got my second one, which is 150, like whatever the minimum was, I think. And I've been doing this for 2 to 3 years. So like it takes a while to get paid. And but I also don't have, I'm not viral on YouTube and I'm getting paid from them. So that's cool.
That is really cool. And in such a specific market, because the specificity really helped you gain traction quickly because you can rank for the people who are just searching for you. But it's just a smaller group of people.
It is.
There's the pros and the cons. If you decided to like up it to tarot, you'd reach a larger audience, but you wouldn't be like number first page ranking unless you really tried for it, right?
Or you have a really specific niche within there that you're trying to serve, or yeah, I niched in hard and fast, I would say. Yeah.
It sounds like you said it picked you at age 12. You didn't do anything. It made you.
It it did. Yeah, my mom is a reader. She's a professional tarot reader, and I went with her to buy a deck when I was 12 and I was all excited for her to teach me how to read tarot because it's so cool. And then we get to the store and I pick one out and then we get home, open it and she's, I don't know what this is. Like this is not tarot. I don't know what you picked out, but this isn't tarot and you're on your own. And it was just kind of history from there.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Wait, so your mom's a tarot reader? Is she still professionally?
Yeah, she's actually a published tarot author. So she has a book out on
What's the name?
called the Tarot Apothecary,
Oh,
and it's tarot and aromatherapy, and she has potion recipes that she puts in there and like how to embody energy of the card through scent. So it's a
oh,
really cool
that's
book.
so cool.
Yeah,
How
her
was
name's Aylin Halverson. So if you're
Okay.
interested.
Not the same last name. You didn't like
Not the same.
keep the tarot legacy alive.
Not the same. No.
Second generation Helverson tarot. How was that? How was that having, was it just like natural for you to become a card reader?
I resisted it for so long because I saw my mom do it and it's cool for her, but it's like you always try to do different stuff from
Yeah.
your parents. You want to
Yeah.
be different. And eventually I just stopped resisting it. I felt like people just throughout college and beyond, people would just come to me for readings all the time. And people would always say, you need to charge for this. This is really good. And then finally, I just embraced it. I had the whole spiritual awakening, I guess you could say, and I just decided to go for it. But it took a lot of years for me to go for
Gosh.
it.
So your daughter is gonna be the third generation.
And she's a Halloween Scorpio baby, so she's definitely got something going on already.
There's gonna be like this other weird deck that she's going to master.
Yes, she's
Different,
gonna be into
different.
something. Yes.
Oh, okay. And one other thing I wanted to ask you about was, do you pay attention to metrics? Do you look at them and make decisions based off of them?
I definitely look at how many people are watching for the first 30 seconds of the video, and I pay attention to what I do different in
Hmm.
each video. I try to just make it a little bit better each time that I'm recording an intro. And so that's something I pay attention to, and I pay attention to watch time and where people's like where the spikes and dips are.
Hmm.
That really helps me understand, okay, this is what people are really into. And a lot of times it surprises me, like what people are into that I didn't even think about. So that helps me see, oh, okay, people are interested in this, or people are rewatching this part. And that's really helpful. That's primarily what I pay attention to. And also, if my subscriber count starts dipping, I'm like, okay, I usually get about 100 to 150 new subscribers a month, I
Hmm.
would say now is where I'm at. So I'm like, okay, if it's dipping, what's going on? Or and then I'll just do a poll or something on YouTube, which is another thing you could do. What do you guys want to see from me? Do you
Hmm.
like these videos? And so you can just ask people. So I pay attention to that and usually just ask what people want.
Hmm. And with the descriptions, are you being really intentional with the keywords and stuff in descriptions, or are you chill about it?
I mean, I used to be really chill and then I got pretty hardcore into it and then found that I don't think it really makes a difference for me. Like, I just don't think it really does anything. I'm sure like pro YouTube people would disagree with me, but I've just
Yeah.
found anecdotally it doesn't. I just say what the video is about and I'm just using search terms, but I've always done that.
Yeah.
And it's literally like one or two sentences, and then I have timestamps, and then I usually have ways to work with me, ways to go deeper into my world in some way on there. I also have affiliate accounts, which I don't really make money off of because I have a small account, but I've tried that. I have one with bookshop.org instead of Amazon. I have stuff like that, and I've made a little bit from that, but it's primarily just going to my free offers on my website.
Okay. I love this. Okay. Grand overview is what I'm
Yeah.
hearing is get into YouTube, but be niche about it. To be as lazy as possible, which we all want. If your niche for your page or your videos are just inherently the people interested in this very specific thing will just find it and it's easy to rank. That's how it almost makes it the easiest for you as possible. You're paying a ton of attention to the title and the thumbnail. Those are very important things after you create the video. When you are creating the video, you're deciding based on you're researching things, what people are Googling around your topic. First 30 seconds are incredibly important. And then from there, that's all you got to do.
Yeah, that's and a lot of it too is just with anything with anyone's business, your audience is going to be different from person to
Yeah.
person. It's
Yeah.
really just paying attention and re and connecting with your audience. And if something's weird, I just ask, what's going on? What do you like? What do you not like? And people will just tell me, and I'm like, great. And then I can just
Mhm.
move with that. So I think that's something to keep in mind is just really be specific with your audience. Totally.
Mhm. And when you're specific like that, you don't have to necessarily play all the games that a lot of people do with posting weekly and trying to get on browse and all of the other stuff. That's almost a band-aid for your topic.
Yeah, and I think that's totally true. And that's why a lot of when I was like talking to other YouTubers at tarot conferences and things who definitely have more subscribers than me, they're like, what camera are you using? I'm like, my phone. What are you doing here? I'm like, iMovie. It's just and they're doing a lot of the pick a card videos, which there are so many of. And I have a few of those on my channel for
Uh-huh.
sure. But so they're like in huge competition with, and so it's like you've got to do all the fancy stuff. But I think it's like the same with business. Like if you have like just a clear message of what you do and who you help and who you serve, it just makes things a lot easier.
I love this. This is so good. Oh, thank you so much for being on with us, Emily. This was so useful, and I'm thank you for answering all of my super granular questions.
Oh my goodness, of course. It was really fun to talk with you. And I always love talking about YouTube business, all those things. It's so fun.
Do you have any things that we didn't talk about that you think is important for people to know about if they are like, oh my gosh, I really want to get off of Instagram and YouTube sounds like a great place. Is there anything you would want them to know that we didn't cover?
I think just emphasizing that it takes time on YouTube. So you're probably, if you're used to Instagram, TikTok, things tend to take off
Yeah.
somewhat quickly. Sometimes some of them take a while. They're baking and for a little bit, but most of the time they just take off really quickly. And
Yeah.
YouTube can work like that, but it often doesn't work like that. And so I would say a lot of people put so much energy and effort into their first video, and your first video is probably just going to be buried, going to be completely honest. So just start doing it. Even if you're like, this video is terrible, it's whatever, just start making videos. If you watch some of my most popular ones, one of them, I'm like doing it in the middle of the night. I think the lighting is terrible, but my message is good and people
Yeah.
stayed. And it's like one of my most popular ones. So I think if you're thinking about doing it, just like make yourself a time commitment. Be like 6 months a year, I'm going to be posting regularly, like semi regularly, and just go for it.
Monthly. That's what you said.
Monthly. Yeah, monthly. And just go for it and see what comes of it. But you got to give it time and think of it like planting little seeds.
This is so good. So where can we've already said go find Emily on YouTube, Emily Rose Divination. Do you do Instagram at all? A
I've
little?
been getting a little bit more into Instagram again, actually because of you, I would say, in the mastermind. Seeing your stuff, I'm like, okay, she's making me think twice about Instagram a little bit. So I'm dipping my toe in. I usually, most of my reading clients are on there,
Yeah.
actually. So it's like a lot of times I'll post something and then people will be like, oh, it reminded me to book with you. It's usually what I get. But I'm mostly on just like my website and YouTube, honestly.
So emilyrosedivination.com. And if they want to learn, you do card reading classes and then you read cards and then you also teach people how to start a card reading business. Is that the main three routes?
Yes, pretty much. Yeah, I have a place to book a reading with me on my website. And then if you're interested in Lenormand, you're like, I don't know what it is, you could take my free mini course, and that's emilyrosedivination.com/mini course. And you can just watch it if you want and be like, do I want a deck? And then and you'll probably get one because let's be real. And then I do have a small program for folks who want to start a card reading business called Side Hustle Sorceress. So we just started this round, but you can get on the wait list for that. And that is emilyrosedivination.com/SHS.
So good. Oh, thank you, Emily. This was so good. Any final messages you want to in maybe do the cards have anything to say to us?
Oh yeah, let's do it. Okay, so let's see. What do the cards want to tell folks who are listening? Let's do
Uh-huh.
that. Okay. Okay. This is echoing what we were just talking about. We have the woman, the lilies, the dog, and we have the anchor. So the woman is going to represent the querent. So that's all of us.
Uh-huh.
And it's basically saying things take time, and it's really important to have good connections with people that are very stable.
Mm.
So it's basically saying, don't expect flash in the pan stuff with this. If you're patient and you take time to have good relationships, you will have stability in your life, is basically what it's saying. So it's very much echoing our conversation, I think, about what we're talking about with YouTube.
Thank you, cards.
Yes.
Oh, so good. Okay, everyone, go watch Emily and start recording your first video. The end.
I love it. That's it.